What's up, y'all? Welcome to another review by Ryan. Happy Wednesday. It is Wednesday, August 31st. I hope you all are having a wonderful day wherever you are at in the world as we slowly but surely approach the end of the summer season. And we have approached the end of August. In this reaction, we'll be reacting to the 9th episode of the second season of Made in Abyss, the Golden City of the Scorching Sun. A couple thoughts and a statement. So the last two episodes were arguably the best episodes of this second season. And even the harshest critics of the show will acknowledge that we needed the last two episodes to truly establish where we are headed as we move into what we now know is inevitably going to be the complete and utter annihilation of this village that should never have existed to start with. So as we continued Ougonkou's story, we obviously got to see that FAPUTA is, of course, the final child now of Irumyuui. And before I actually say that, I said Irumyuui a majority of last episode. It was not intentional that I left off the I just decided to pronounce her name Irumyuui. It is Irumyuui. So many apologies about that. But we did get to see that Irumyuui is indeed the foundation of the entire village. All of the bones and structures, everything that is built within the village is actually part of Irumyuui herself as she was continuing to birth children, as she was continuing to kind of become the foundation. Obviously, she needed more monsters to be able to sustain herself, so she eventually migrated out. And what we saw last episode was really just a continuation of the absolute heartbreak of what was put on what is really just a child that never should have been in that type of situation to begin with. I absolutely felt for the bottom of my heart for what Ougonkyou and Irumyuui and even Belaf went through, as you saw the great regret that he felt and experienced when he realized that what he had been eating, what he had been fed was actually Irumyui's own children that she continued to make and produce and produce and produce. And, you know, the humanity side of things really settled in. Now, I talked about this over dinner with my good friends the other week when I was still discussing the show actively. And it was one of those things where, you know, we were talking about that if you were in that type of situation, what would you do? And I genuinely was like, honestly, if I was a leader, this is why you designate another person, kind of like a vice leader, whatever you want to call them, that if you're ever in a life and death situation like that and you know that morally you may not be able to make those type of decisions, that you need to designate someone to be able to intervene, because that also is a sign of a good leader. And there's so many different things that could dictate what is a good leader. I personally said that I could not serve someone's children, let alone while they are alive, because as we learned, it eventually went from just serving the dead children to serving the children while they were still alive, because we knew they were inevitably going to die. So even if they had a chance to survive, they were still going to be served anyway. I'm sorry, guys. That's just not me. I can't do that. But I get that it's a moral dilemma that, you know, when you're faced with a life and death situation and these are the only options that you have faced before you, that sometimes you have to go with the best case scenario that will help the survival of your people even just a little bit longer. And so on those grounds, I want to give a lot of, I'm not going to say the word respect, but I want to give a shout out to someone like Ougonkyou. I don't like him at all. I morally cannot stand him. He is despicable to me, and I truly do hope he meets his demise in this absolutely shameful village that is now built off of the skeleton of a person who lost her humanity all because she was deserted as a child because she couldn't give birth. Which, again, someone of her age, that was just insane to start with. But I want to call him out. I want to call him out on the same exact reasons that I called someone out like Bonrid. I hated Bonrid to death. I still hate him. And I hope that in one way or another, his immortal ass meets his demise in a very, very painful way, even though pain won't really matter to him because at this point, he's already sacrificed his own body to make his whistle. So I know I say that needing to understand that it's just not going to happen. But yeah. You know, Ougonkyou did what he needed to do for the salvation of his people. Yes, it was very clear early on once he realized the gravity of what they were faced with when they got down to the lair and they sent the test up and they realized, shit, You can't go back up. And, everyone handles those type of realities differently. And in a person like Ougonkyou, being that he was a prophet and he had pretty much already foreseen all the events that were transpiring here, once that really settles in that there is truly absolutely nothing that you can do, you kind of have to ride with the punches, and everyone rides with the punches differently. In his case, it was survive at all costs, survive under any means necessary, and if we can't go back up, well, we'll make a village here by any means necessary. And he truly meant that. And at the end of the day, I acknowledge that when you're in a life and death situation, yes, you do want a leader who ultimately can make decisions even without the need to have to delegate those super, super hard decisions to other people. But he is crazy, and we need to not sugarcoat the fact that the man has absolutely lost it. Just because I give him accolades because he made a decision, that morally speaking, well, not morally speaking, but immorally speaking, was the best decision for his people. The reality is he didn't give these people any layers of a choice. He just made these decisions and just assumed that if he's fine with it, everybody's fine with it. And again, that goes down also to someone like Bondred. Someone like Bondred truly didn't grasp the fact that this may not be what these kids want, but he genuinely did the actions that he did, in it, keeping their dreams and goals and everything in mind, that he truly did make those decisions without really the evil that we are used to. And I truly want to believe that even with that smile that just pissed me off the no end with Ougonkyou, that truly he in his own heart and soul feels that he has done what was best to help them survive. And of course he'll be like, well, look, we survived. Look at the village that we made. Look at how we are. Sure, we had to give up our human bodies, but we're alive and we've made it. And so it really is a moral dilemma and a complex that after watching the third movie, it's slightly easier to swallow, but it's still absolutely abhorrent and disgusting to have to think about. And when I put all these things together, it leads me to realizing that this show will continue to make us incredibly uncomfortable, but all the same, what we're seeing in this show is no more worse or better than what real humans have done in real life to get to where we are today. So I had to re-record this particular segment. In post-editing, I realized that I went from talking about a lot of factual things about my frustrations about people's ratings to just going on an anger rant because of the fact that I'm very passionate about the Made in Abyss series, and that some of the reasons that I've been told as of late why people aren't liking the series is incredibly frustrating, and because a lot of people aren't willing to really listen to any opinions once they're set in their opinions, it makes it very hard to try to explain anything. And I'm a person that, even though I run an anime reaction channel, and I need to understand that by running this channel, this could spell debates that at times could get a little more aggressive than normal, and some people, and that just like myself, there'd be plenty of other people who will be very passionate about their opinions, that there are going to be some cases where it's just going to be what it's going to have to be, and I'm just going to have to let things be what they are and let it go. So about a week and a half ago, I actually had to stop talking about the Made in Abyss series outside of this reaction and outside of the deep dive I do, primarily because of the fact that I feel that the reasons that people have been, going in on this show that don't like the show have been relatively silly, being that the premise of this entire show was established pretty early on in the synopsis and the ratings and the first couple of episodes, even if there were a lot of shock factor things that did happen at the end of the very first season, and of course everything that we watched in the movie. One thing that I truly do believe, though, and I'm sure you all have gotten a gauge from as I've reacted to this show so far this season, because again, I am a new reaction channel. I did not react to the first season back in 2017, nor did I react to the movie. So obviously you didn't hear what my thoughts were there. But one thing, whether I've given each season or movie a 9, 9.5, or a 10 with this show, that I have always said is that Made in Abyss has absolutely captured the theme that it set out to show, which ultimately is how horrible us human beings can be in the pursuit of the unknown. The reason that I love Made in Abyss, and the reason that this show always has to be a contender for a 9.5 or a 10 every single season, and the reason that regardless of how you might feel, this show is my number one summer 2022 show, is because once again, the theme, the environment, the crisis that we are in feels very realistic for the universe. The mistakes that are made, even mistakes by useless Riko, which she's not useless, but I'm trying my best not to vent about that again, because I realized in the first video I recorded I was venting a lot about that, and some of it was just, I didn't need to include it in this reaction. So if you want to hear my vent though, please feel free to join me at the end of the season when I'm willing to reopen up a full forum to talk about that. But this show and everything that it does has just truly been captured in a way that, for me personally, this is an incredibly special series to me. And while I understand that there have been things that this show has done, there have been uncomfortable elements that have gone definitely beyond what anyone thought could have ever been possibly broadcasted on television for animes, because again, this is a broadcast show at the end of the day in Japan, and then of course for us foreigners, it's bought out in streaming platforms. I know that it's done a lot of uncomfortable things, and there are certain things like what happened with especially with the crapping thing with Riko in episodes 2 and episode 4 that really put everyone for a ringer. I truly have to gauge, do these things, as off-putting as they may be, supersede the over 95 to 96% of things that this show has done perfectly? And the answer is no. So for this season, for example, I do acknowledge that the things that happened in episodes 2 and especially in episode 4, those little things definitely do have to factor in as flaws, as things that I would have rather not have been included. But even if I'm factoring those things into consideration, this show and its strength around its story and its characters and the environment that it's setting has been quite possibly one of the strongest story writing points that I have watched in the last decade. And it is a reason why this show has to be considered for Anime of the Year. It has to be considered for a 10 out of 10, even with the flaws. And above all, and I don't care how many people argue with me on this, it has to be considered for one of my top 10 or top 20 shows of all time. Because what this show has done is it has portrayed its universe and how far humans will go perfectly. Everything that Bonrit did, everything that Wazukan has done, everything that happens, it sadly has happened in real life. Because at the end of the day, it's always easy to use children, the elderly, those who are most vulnerable, and in certain cases, all minorities. So it's just one of those things where I feel this show has captured that perfectly. And while I get that some of you may just not like that theme, that's not fair to give the show a 6 or a 7 because you don't like the theme. There are plenty of shows that I don't watch because I know that I will give an unbiased score. For example, I'm not into yaoi, but I love my Yuri. And I have plenty of friends that only care about yaoi and always grade my Yuris 5 and below, even if the story is absolutely outstanding. And I will say, it used to be vice versa, but now, even if there's a show that I don't like, as an anime reactor now, I will judge the show on the merits of what it presents. Not on the merits of what I may or may not like, but if the general premise of the story was executed. And if that was, then whether I may have a particular like or not for a certain type of series, I'm going to judge that series based on the merits of what it did. And I feel that from a select group of the anime community, that Made in Abyss is judged unfairly. It's not for everyone. And, to sit here and say that the story is sloppy and there's parts that don't make sense, I will acknowledge that the second part, that's a valid thing. That there are parts that don't make sense. There are still a lot of answers, even in the episode that we're probably about to watch and the episodes we've watched before, that we are going to have confusion about. But to say that the story has not captured what it was supposed to capture in a near flawless, but I'm not going to say flawless, because I'm going to keep in mind that everything has vulnerabilities and issues, and Made in Abyss is no different. But to say it's not even captured in a near flawless way, to hear that there's a select that, what I've really noticed is basically either you're giving the show a 9 or higher or a 6 and lower. There is really no in between. And there are select people who will give it a 7 and 8, but for the vast majority of those who have spoken negatively on this show, there is no in between. But the reasons that I've heard as to why they are giving the show a 6 are just outrageous. They're outrageous to me. I don't agree with them. And I've just had to come to accept that I'm very passionate about the show, and despite me trying to keep an open mind, I'm not changing my opinion just because of the fact that you think that there are certain things they should have left out. No. This show has made it very clear in the first season what it's about. You don't like it, you should not have continued. But if you did continue, grade the show based on the merits of what the story is based around, and not just based around your own potential misconception or discomfort, because that's not fair. And it's just one of those, and I think that's what's happened in like popularity boards like Anime Corner, where at the end of the day, we care more about big boobs, ass and titties, stuff like that, and really less about the quality of the story that's being presented. And one thing that most people can say, even many critics, is that even though Made in Abyss is definitely not for everyone and definitely touches on a really sensitive subject, many sensitive subjects and many sensitive things, that Made in Abyss absolutely executes its raw story nearly flawlessly. So I just wanted to get that out there, and I want you all to understand that I do, at the end of the day, still have to respect, even if I vehemently disagree with a lot of the negatives I hear, I do respect that we all have a right to an opinion with all series, especially this series. And just like I was talking about biasness, I do have to acknowledge myself that because I was captivated into this series in the very early stages of the show, that captivation leads to me being a little strongly on the show's side than others that may be walking the fence. So with that said, I did want to re-record that segment because I didn't want y'all to feel that I completely disrespect what other people's opinions on this series are. And with that, I'm going to kick you back into the video so we can start the reaction. Alright guys, and I'm back. Again, title of the episode is The Return. And let's go ahead and get this reaction started in 3, 2, 1. Oh my goodness. Bruh. Itchy. Yes, you ripped off body parts. Bruh. Can we not eat the bugs? Hell no, her wound ain't okay. Yeah, FAPUTA'S only focus on tearing this all up. Oh, that's right. And if I remember correctly, she ripped that off so that we can try to rescue Nanachi. Oh, look at her. Oh, they must have really had a close relationship at first. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Because of the promise that you can't remember. Oh, of course. Oh boy. Thank goodness for that. It's what's going to help us get Nanachi out of this situation. Oh boy. Oh my goodness. This just looks so angry. And that's because Papa is angry at everything. Oh, who's she referencing? Priska or Rico? Probably Priska. Man, after the last two episodes, can we please get some positivity up in this show? I swear. And having a background on everything. I mean, there's nothing else we can do for this village but get rid of it. Should have never been here. And what Waco and freaking Itamui went through, man. The return. And maybe the return is referencing Nanachi now that I know what we're here for with the arm. Damn, even the balancing is angry. Oh. Oh. Oh, that's right. Because at the end of the day, Beloff became what he became because of being so angry about. Uh, yeah. Oh, she's gonna go inside and take care of business there. Oh my goodness. Wow, Red has that ability. Yeah. Oh, that's right. He said it. I'm about to say, does he have something else? Like, dang. Man, my man can rewrite. Reg really is the OG down here. Oh, hell. Oh, that's right. Because at the end of the day, the value really can't be. Um, yeah, I tell you. Yeah. Which was ultimately his goal when he decided to do what he did. Oh, that's right. I've been asking about the third one that he had. It's been 150 years. There we go. So it's been 150 years since this village was made. Wow. So we know it's at least been, dang, so time must be really slow. By any means necessary. Oh boy. What the heck? Uh, with arrows. Of course. Shit. What is he up to? Damn, I guess we can't worry about that right now. We should have known that the second that freaking Reiko came back up here, that Wazukin would take her for something else. But damn, they gotta deal with this now. Oh, wow. Oh. Seriously? Similar to how Itamui is the one that made the village. Bruh. Wazuka's just here for the freaking. He's just here for the show. Bruh. Oh! Oh, shit. Run where? We're gonna have to deal with it. Well, I mean, lock me up for like 150 fucking years. Even though now I don't even think that she was forcefully locked up at all. I think it really was just she chose to stay there to watch over the souls, which is why Rico was so easily able to get her. Oh Lord. Oh no, okay. Oh damn. Damn gone it. You can't be indecisive now, my dude. Yeah. I like you just Greg is such an insanely powerful being, I swear. That's right. And if it's still like it used to be, he's gonna go out of commission. Yeah. Oh, he blew the hole. Oh, FAPUTA'S about to... Oh, boy. Yeah. Oh. Oh. Oh! Oh, shit. Oh, FAPUTA is not pleased. Oh, FAPUTA is not pleased. Oh. Allow them no time. Oh. Bruh. I don't think you understand just how much imminent danger you're in right now. You're in a lot of danger right now. Oh, FAPUTA is so pissed! Damn, she had to dream. Now that she can. Oh. I feel so many different emotions right now. And truly, without having read, even I can't truly grasp what's probably really about to go down here. They done changed the song. All that you gather. Oh, and there's mid. Oh, man. And I'm going to stop the video right there. Oh, well. All right. So there is a lot to unpack there. And just like every episode to this series, it definitely is going to be a case of me needing to go and rewatch several parts again. But things have definitely taken a turn for the worse or for the better, depending on what way you look at it. So, obviously, as Irumui was, housing this village, and first off, we now know it's been 150 years, so that answers that question. Now, of course, it's a matter of how it's been on the surface. If that 150 years is a true 150, if it's a true 150 years, but that they didn't really age in the same way. So I still some questions there, which may or may not be answered in what's about to play out. But a lot to unpack here, with the discussion of that Reg and Faputa had, and we truly understood after the last episode that at the end of the day, Faputa is going to destroy this village. And that's why Faputa's just been buying time. And that's why Faputa, even though, as they said at the start, had an opportunity to go anywhere else, Faputa chose to kind of remain. And it looks like ultimately it was because of the promise that, Faputa was one day hoping that her and Reg were going to be able to keep with each other. And that's why she's willing to pretty much give up anything. Faputa has taken all of the rage and the anger, the wishes that her mother had, everything over 150 years, and she has just fumed on it. She has just seethed in emotion of understanding that if she gets inside, that's game over. But of course, she is the princess, and so even though these monsters do understand that they are in really imminent danger, it's just treated as a fact of life of what comes down and being in this village. It's almost in sorts that they've all accepted their fates in one capacity or another, where you kind of have to accept your fate when you choose to take on the form that you do and you choose to remain in this village to start with. And it was very interesting dialogue that we had with Wazikan as there was further discussion about if he had truly given up on the adventure. There was more pretty much shout outs to the fact that, we understand the reason that he made the decisions he made, even if they were not ethically or morally right. And it's one of those things where, again, I look at someone like Wazikan and I understand that it's more than just calling him evil or this and that. He, as I said at the start of my reaction, he did what was necessary for his people. And as each episode has gone since, the revelations, which has been 2 episodes now, since the revelation of him feeding people's freaking babies to other people, I truly do understand that to have full hatred for him would be misplacement and a lack of understanding of the very environment that I've been preaching about to all of you that we are in. It all collectively makes sense, as heartbreaking as it is. Now, I was very worried when he took Waco, when the monster, the one that we now know was the very same person who outcast Waco herself. And so obviously there was a bond attached there for more reasons than one. And all of you that remember watching in the first episode, you know what happened to Waco. So obviously I feel a very sick to my stomach feeling when it comes to the fact that he's now back in the form of this creature. But at this point, the creature won't have to worry about anything because Reg did have to make an ultimate decision to obviously break a hole in the barrier. And now Almighty Faputa is here. and FAPUTA'S about to tear shit up. I had to tell you, that entire segment when the music kicked in, and especially when we got our new song right there, you already know in this series that something really special or really destructive is about to happen. And honestly, I'm just ready for the next episode to see what's going to play out. So as we all saw, Nanachi's now awake. Nanachi appears to be able to move. And as far as Belaf is concerned, even Belaf knows that it's endgame now. It is truly endgame. FAPUTA is the embodiment of rage and anger that her mother, which had all of her wishes and desires trampled on, truly did not want to be what ended up being used. And the only question that I need to rewatch to get clarity on is I do believe they were speaking several times in regards to the third cradle. And I talked about in the last episode that we know what the first cradle was used for. We know what the second cradle was used for. But the third cradle, the one that is very clear that in one way or another Wazukan had control, at least I thought he did have control over, now it appears he can't leave either way because he's stuck in the village. He accepted this body, and even if he has an adventurous spirit still, he can't go anywhere. So, and then actually correction, because then I've said the answer myself that obviously all three cradles now exist within FAPUTA. So FAPUTA is going to be the one that's going to be making the final decisions, and the final decisions is obviously going to be to destroy this village. However, I now have a little worry again, and I'm sure that my friends are going to be like, "Yep, here we go." Rico's getting ready to do something stupid because Rico likes the village in her short time that she's being there, and even though she's been told the story about the village, I don't think, because of her lack of maturity that I still exists, truly 100% grasp the fact that this village was built and raised off of something not only immoral, it's just something that should not even exist, and it has to go. And as they said at the start, their presence in this village spelled the end for everyone in the village. We know that everyone is going to die that is present on this screen right now. Every single person that has that has ultimately sacrificed their human body to remain a subject of this village, to make a barter system, to do whatever they do, it's clear that with FAPUTA'S entrance spells the end of this village and hopefully the end of her mother's suffering, because goodness knows after what we watched with Irimui, her suffering needs to end. This has to end, and it's very unfortunate that this is the way that it has to be, but it's just kind of the nature of the beast down here, and this is a hurdle that we will have to pass in order to descend even lower, because as was stated, we are only touching the tip of the iceberg in the 6th layer. The village is just the first stop. We haven't even remotely explored anything that's on the other side. So guys, it's just it's another episode that really has you thinking on a lot of different things. Obviously an episode I have to watch twice because there are a couple small things here and there that I know I'll need to catch, and I'm sure some of you that are watching this reaction will probably catch anything that I missed, and please feel free to drop any comments in the comment section for anything that I missed, or anything that I might be, or anything that I either missed or anything that I did state that I might be a little misunderstanding on. And especially if you are a light novel reader, again though, if you are a reader of the source material, please do your best not to spoil anything other than what has already been covered up to this point in the show. So with that said, that is my opinion and reaction to Made in Abyss. This was definitely an episode that I was definitely feeling a way towards that end, because I tell you, I get so many tingly sensations when we get to really monumental moments in this show, and FAPUTA entering and looking like y'all are before God, I ain't gonna lie, after everything we just watched the last 2 episodes with Waco's flashback, I was like, FAPUTA, fuck this up! But obviously it's much deeper than just FAPUTA tearing everything up, and that's why Reg said, get Rico somewhere safe, and honestly at this point pray, because now that FAPUTA's in, we all know what's about to play out from here. And even if we know what's about to play out from here, one thing I've always learned about Made in Abyss is we have to take what we already assume is going to happen, and we need to make it even worse, because it's probably going to be even worse than we already could have imagined it would be to start with. So thanks a lot for watching the reaction, guys. If you did like this reaction, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. My last 2 Made in Abyss reactions, both here and on my other streaming platform, have been the most watched videos on my YouTube so far. A huge thank you to all of you who have watched through these reactions. I thank you for joining me on that journey that we went through the last 2 weeks, and I hope that you'll join me on this journey to the end of the show. If you did like the video and the reaction, please consider liking and subscribing to the video and the channel. And if you want to be one of the first to be notified when a new reaction becomes available, hit the bell icon. I will see all of you people next week on September 7th for the next episode titled All That You Gather. And I almost forgot, as a reminder, or for those who have not heard yet, a note. We have been told that after the 11th episode, there will be a 1-week hiatus, as there will be a recap episode, and on the week following, we will get a 1 hour, or for streaming platforms, about 50-minute season finale. So, just like with the first season, I knew that a 1 hour finale was coming. So much is getting ready to transpire. You can feel that the gravity of the situation just got 10 times worse, and I just can't wait to see, for the rest of you, especially those of you that are non-source readers like myself, I can't wait to see what's going to transpire and how this story on the 6th layer, at least at this stage of the 6th layer, is going to end. So until next week's episode, catch you later.